Regensburg is one of the best preserved and most historic cities in all of Germany. No wonder it's a World Heritage City. In this video I will show you the top sites, including the epic cathedral, yummy and delicious historic sausages and some cool museums. Regensburg St. Peter's Cathedral is the most impressive building in the city, and in fact for anywhere in this area. As it towers above the rest of the city, it's also difficult to miss, so it seems like a good place to start. The cathedral is one of the best examples of Gothic architecture in Germany and is part of the city's UNESCO World Heritage Site. Construction started in the 13th century and was mostly finished by 1520. The most prominent features are the lofty twin spires on the main west front. They look super impressive, even with scaffolding covering one of them. These towers were not actually completed until 1869. The interior is also not to be missed and is free to enter. It has an internal height of just under 32 meters, making it feel very open and lofty. This huge space is lit by large and colourful stained glass windows that date from the 13th and 14th centuries and are one of the best preserved medieval stained glass collections in all of Germany. Make sure you spend some time just wandering around this awesome building, and don't forget to visit the small crypt while you are here. Regensburg has some nice museums, but the best one for me is the Historical Museum, which delves into the history of Regensburg. Perhaps the most interesting thing about it is that the building resides in a former monastic complex and includes the church and cloisters of St. Salvator. Unfortunately for me, the church part was closed, so I only got a brief view through the window, but hopefully when you visit it will be open. The museum's collection focuses on the history, art and culture of Regensburg and East Bavaria from the Stone Age to the present day. Ground floor contains a fascinating collection of archaeological finds, including some cool ancient Roman stuff. Keep an eye out for this interesting model of a gatehouse, because part of that still exists and I will show it to you later. There are also lots of skeletons and skulls from various ages, which help to tell the story of the city and its region and bring the people of those days back to life. Well, maybe not back to life, but you know what I mean. It's always interesting to wonder who these people were and what they did, so these types of exhibits really help to bring the past into focus. There is also an interesting collection of medieval artifacts that are mostly housed in well-preserved monastic rooms, complete with interesting Gothic vaults and arches, including the former cloisters, which look very, very cool. The upper floors contain religious works, including a special room with some very old tapestries. There are also quite a lot of scary paintings depicting heaven and hell, just in case you were ever in doubt about which one you wanted to end up in. So all in all, this is a really awesome museum and I recommend setting aside some time to explore it. Very close to the History Museum is the stunning Basilica of the Nativity of Our Lady. It's a bit hard to spot, but it's this long building next to a car park, so not the easiest to take photos of from the outside. It's free to go in, although most of the interior is usually gated off, so you'll have to be content with looking through the bars, but oh my, what a sight! This church was part of an older abbey church and is said to be the oldest church in Regensburg. However, the original medieval architecture is barely visible now, as in the 18th century there was an extensive and elaborate Rococo remodelling to produce the fully astounding and jaw-dropping interior you see today. In fact, it's considered one of the most important Rococo interiors in all of Bavaria, and just look at it, it's absolutely stunning, so make sure you don't miss it. All those historical buildings have probably made you super hungry. So what better way to complement the city's amazing history than by munching down on some historical sausages, which you can find down by the river in the historic sausage kitchen. This is a tiny little building that you will usually see with smoke coming out of the top and a big queue of hungry people waiting outside. This is said to be the oldest continuously open public restaurant in the world, going back as far as the 12th century, although the current building dates from the 17th century. Originally it was fast food for the dock and city workers, but now it serves up yummy sausages for hungry tourists like me. Just queue up behind everybody else and order the sausages and bread with sauerkraut. And while you wait, you can look inside and see all the sizzling sausages being prepared, which will make your mouth water. Once you have your mini feast, then go and sit by the river and enjoy this little slice of delicious historic cuisine while gazing at the stone bridge, which is the next place on our list. The stone bridge dates from the 12th century and crosses the river Danube. It connects the city to the slightly newer town of Stadtamhof. For nearly 800 years until 1935, it was the city's only bridge, making it critically important. It is also a masterwork of medieval engineering and the oldest preserved bridge in all of Germany. The bridge spans over 300 metres and has 16 arches. Originally it had guard towers at either end, but today only the one on the city side remains, which still looks very impressive. It's worth crossing over the bridge and into the historic town of Stadtamhof, which is also part of the UNESCO World Heritage listing of the area. Its main feature is a historic main street lined with colourful buildings. It's quite lively and full of cafes, so it's an excellent place to stop for a rest. In between Stadtamhof and the old city is a river island. It's worth walking down to the riverside, as from here you get some of the best views of the bridge and city. It's especially nice at sunset. Also not to be missed, on the city side is this large historic building that's Stadel or Salt Warehouse, which was built between 1616 and 1620. As its name suggests, it used to be a warehouse and is today a free-to-enter exhibition space with many interesting displays and artefacts. It's especially interesting to be able to see the extensive wooden structure of this magnificent historic building. Not too far from the bridge is the Porta Praetoria, which is the remains of one of the original Roman gatehouses, which once formed part of the ancient walls. What remains is now part of a newer building, but you can still walk around and admire the large and worn ancient stones, and imagine the hustle and bustle of Roman soldiers passing through here back in the days of the Roman Empire. Also quite near the bridge is the Old Town Hall, which sits on Rathausplatz. The wonderful looking building dates from the 13th and 14th centuries. The main feature on the exterior is a magnificent carved bay window. There is also the famous Gothic entrance, which is guarded by these two notable fellows representing protection and defence. On the lower floor is a tourist information centre. If you want to visit the interior, you need to book a guided tour where you can visit interesting rooms such as the Imperial Hall and a torture chamber. Next up, it's worth spending some time getting lost in the wonderful Old Town. Regensburg includes the largest medieval old town north of the Alps with over 1,500 listed buildings. Here you'll find many narrow streets, many of which are pedestrianised, making them pleasant to walk around. As I've waffled a lot in this video, here's a little montage to give you an idea of what it's like. So far, everything you've seen has been somewhat on the historic side, but there are some interesting modern buildings in the city, such as our next location, which is the House of Bavarian History. This striking modern building was opened in 2019, and inside you will find a fascinating series of exhibitions telling the story of Bavaria throughout history. Highlights include these large portraits of various Bavarian rulers, including the ever-famous Ludwig II, who is best known for his extravagant artistic and architectural projects, such as the fairy tale-like Neuschwanstein Castle. He was famously disposed of and died under mysterious circumstances, and the exhibition includes his death mask alongside many original documents relating to the case. Also not to be missed are the exhibits relating to the Nazis, the Holocaust and World War II, and it's great to see that they don't shy away from the more unpleasant parts of the country's history. And of course, Bavaria is very famous for its cars, so there is also a cool collection of motor vehicles to admire. The final location is the stunning Basilica of St. Emmeram, which is on the edge of the old town and not too far from the main train station. The church was once part of a large monastery, the main buildings of which are now part of a palace for the Turn and Taxi family. The palace can be visited as part of a guided tour, but cameras are strictly forbidden, so I can't show you the interior, and the exterior was covered in scaffolding, so I can't show you much of that either. However, the Basilica is open, it's free, and you can take photos. Originally a Romanesque church, it was extensively updated to the current lavish Baroque style between 1731 and 1733 by the famous Assam brothers. The long wide nave is wonderfully decorated with frescoes, statues, paintings and carvings, all with extraordinary detail, and it's a real treat to look around and admire all of that art. There are also many shrines to saints, complete with their reliquary showing their bejeweled bodies. Overall, this was my favourite location in Regensburg, so it's an absolute must for anyone who is interested in architecture. That's all for Regensburg. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another video. Cheerio!